What's up guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite bands, Lamb of God, and I'm going to give a full breakdown lesson video of the song Omerta. Now, important points. My guitar is in drop D tuning for this song, so that means that my 6th string is tuned to a D, so I drop the low E down a full step. Then the rest is the same, so an A on the 5th string, a D on the 4th string, a G on the 3rd string, a B on the 2nd string, and an E on the top string. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So this is a song that I love to throw at a lot of my students when they want to learn galloping. I think it's the best song for a beginner to learn the galloping technique, or the famous metal technique that sounds like a horse gallop. So, what is a gallop? A gallop is where we're doing 2 fast notes followed by 1 slower note. And we are palm muting most of the time while we're doing this. And our right hand has a picking pattern where we always start on a downstroke with a gallop and we go down, up, down. You'll see this, down, up, down. So if I put these in succession, I get down, up, down, 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 down, up, down on this hand. Now, you want to try and have a really good grip on the guitar and make sure that you're palm muting really well. So firstly, find that sweet spot where the guitar sounds nice and chuggy, and then practice this nice and slowly until you can start to build it up in speed. Now, the reason why I love throwing this song at my students is that it's not too intense in terms of its speed. When you're looking at a lot of Metallica and some other metal and metalcore songs, when they throw in gallops, it tends to be pretty crazy. There's a really famous song by All That Remains called This Calling, which is above 200 BPM. There's a song by Trivium called Rain, which is also intense. And then we have the famous Battery, which I'm not going to play because it's in a different tuning, it's in E standard. But all of these songs will really contribute to you becoming a great gallop guitarist and learning this technique, which is pretty prominent in a lot of metal playing and famous in metal playing. So this song is a great introduction to it. So let's get stuck into breaking down the first riff. The first riff sounds like this. So, what do we need to do this? We start with a gallop, so down, up, down. Then we're going to follow by some downstrokes on the bottom string. So we're then going to have 2 palm muted downstrokes, or as I call them, chugs. So gallop and 2 chugs. Start with this. Then we need to introduce the melody note, which is the 5th fret on the 5th string. You can hit this with a downstroke as well. Then return back to our bottom string, we're going to do 3 chugs. So this first bar, we get this. Now we're essentially going to take that concept and then move around that top note. So we did exactly the same riff in the second bar, we just moved this top note to the 4th fret on the 5th string. And then guess what? Our third bar, we're going to do the same thing, but shift up to the 7th fret. Like that. So we get this. We get that. Now we have a tail or a fill. So our fill sounds like this. Okay, so with this one, we're going to start with 1 single chug on the bottom string, and then hit the 1st fret on the 5th string, and then 2 chugs on the bottom string. Then we're going to do a pull off from the 1st fret to the open string on the 5th string, then hit the open 4th string, and then the open 5th string. So this bar sounds like this. Okay, I like to hit that last note with a bit of an upstroke. I just think it feels good, but you can do a downstroke as well. It's not really too important because there's no real risk with the speed with this song where if you choose the wrong technique, you're gonna wipe out. You're okay on this one because the tempo is quite moderate. So this first half of this first riff, Sounds like that. Now what we need to do is essentially almost repeat the same riff, but we're gonna do a different fill or a different tail this time. So we're gonna come back. And then we're going to add this. So this fill, we're gonna hit a downstroke on the bottom string again, a chug, and then followed by the 11th fret on the 5th string, that note is open, and then come back to the bottom string for 2 chugs. And then we're gonna hit the 11th fret on that 5th string again and slide up to the 15th fret, and then we're gonna do a pinch harmonic on that 15th fret with a little bit of vibrato after. So it sounds like this. Okay, now this is a hard guitar to get my pinch harmonics on, so there's no excuses if you guys have high output pickups on a metal guitar. And I do have a full lesson where I talk about pinch harmonics, but essentially what we're doing is we are catching a little bit of the string with our thumb just above the pick. So it's like this little part of the thumb here. And I angle my hand so that it actually kind of pinches it on the way through when the pick hits the string. So, and you get that sort of a sound. Okay, so, but I do recommend that if you guys struggle with your pinch harmonics, you go and watch my video on pinch harmonics. I'll put a link to that so you guys can go and see it. But it is an important metal technique that you work on, and it is a technique that takes a lot of time to develop, and it's only really done by feel. You can understand the technique and then you just have to sit there for hours trying to figure it out. So let's have a look at this second half of this first riff. So. I get this. Now this gives me the entirety of this first main riff for the song that happens in the intro and in the verse. So it sounds like this. All right. Now, so it's important that you get your gallops and just take your time with building that technique and the pinch harmonic too. Those are the two difficult things in this riff. For most metalheads, down picks are okay. They're pretty intuitive and you're not going to get into too much trouble with that part of the song. But firstly, just practice that riff, get it under thumb, and then we can move into the next section of this song. Okay, so the next section is the chorus. The chorus is really kind of like Southern stoner rock inspired. In my opinion, we get this really cool So nothing too difficult here, you've just got to watch your palm mutes, and we're playing around between having a palm mute and an open chord here, so on the right hand. So what you're going to do, we're going to hit the 3rd fret, we're going to do a drop D power chord, which is just the bottom 2 strings together on the 3rd fret, so 3 and 3. You can choose whatever fingers you like. I like to slide mine up and down here. But we're going to hit that chord there, which is an F chord with a palm mute. Okay, so make sure that your right hand is down and closed on the strings. Then we're going to drag that up to the 6th fret and we're going to hit this chord and we're going to give a slight pull down on the strings so we get this really dirty slow bend. So do 3 of them. And then on your last one, we're going to do basically a double time of those 2 chords. Then we're going to hit this chord. So this chord is the 5th fret on the 6th string. I like to use my 3rd finger, and the 3rd fret on the 5th string. We're going to palm mute this one and then hit just an open chord, an open drop D chord. So the open string on the 6th and the 5th string will sound pretty chunky. So again, same pattern. Do it 3 times. And then the last one, on the 4th repetition, we do a double of it, twice as quick. Okay, so this gives us the chorus. So the chorus in its entirety. Okay, and this gives us enough to now get up to the interlude. So the structure of this song, we have the first main riff that is the intro and the verse. We have the chorus. It then goes back to that main riff, and then it goes back to the chorus. So a typical kind of pop style arrangement or metal arrangement. And then we get up to the interlude, which we'll study next. Okay, so the interlude happens straight after the second chorus where we're... this riff, okay? So here's where we introduce a different technique. We've got a little alternate picking burst here. So you've got to be careful with this to make sure that you hit the right amount of notes, and we also get the left hand synced up with the right hand. So we're gonna play the first fret, followed by 3 opens. They're all palm muted as well, and this is alternate picking. So we want down, up, like this. And obviously it's pretty quick. So you want to try and drive this motion from your wrist. A little bit of elbow is okay here, but we want this dugga dugga, right? And then we're going to hit the 6th fret power chord. So just the 6th fret on the 2 bottom strings again, like we did in the chorus before. And that's going to be open, and then we're going to do some chugs, so some palm mutes on the bottom string, which is downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 and then 6 of them in the next bar, and then we go back to our little fill. So it sounds like this. Then we've got to introduce some other chord fills here. Now these are a little bit off time, so you've got to be careful with your counts. So when we hit this second, we're then going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 palm mutes or chugs, and then we're going to hit an open chord, so the 2 open bottom strings, and then we're going to play the 1st fret power chord, so the 1st fret on those 2 bottom strings. Chug, chug after that, and then 3, 4 for chords. Chug, chug, chug. So 3 chugs after that, and then we're back to our little alternate picking fill. So let's put this together. So it sounds like this. So that's that section. There's some different technique in here, a little bit of alternate picking, but just be careful and be really careful with your counts and how many of each note you've got to hit. Sometimes the rhythm of those chords can get people a little bit and throw them off balance because it's a little off center, that one. Okay, so that brings us to the next riff, which is sort of the second part of the interlude. We've got this really cool groove riff here. Like this. So really simply, we're going to play 6 and then 8 on the bottom string. These are both open. And then we're going to do a quick little alternate pick down up with a palm mute before we hit 3, 6, open. And then again, our quick little alternate pick down up on that bottom string with a palm mute. Then 5 and 0. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 palm mutes. I like to downstroke these. And then we have our little alternate picking burst. 1 followed by the 3 zeros, palm muted. So let's play this. So you'll notice I like to put a little bit of a bend on that 5. I think it sounds appropriate and pretty intentional in the song from the guys. It sort of matches the chorus. But we get that riff. Now, then what we do to build it up in tension, we just take those notes that we were playing or those melodies on the bottom string and we turn them into power chords. So that's where we're just basically applying the same 2 frets on the bottom string. So you're gonna have 6, 8, chugger, 3, 6, chugger, 5 with a little bend, open, da, 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 so downstrokes, and then our little alternate picking burst. So we get that great riff. It's one of my favorites from this song. And this brings us to the last riff of the song, which is a reflection of the verse riff or the intro riff, but simplified and stripped back with a different rhythm. So this time we're gonna go, we're gonna take the same riff, but we're just doing this syncopated bum, 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 bum rhythm for this one. Same notes, same fills. Like that. We repeat that, and then we just end the song with our 2 drop D power chords, open strings, chug chug, palm mutes, and then we are done. So there it is, guys. So that's Omerta by Lamb of God. Now make sure you go and check out my 7-day free metal guitar bootcamp, which will cover all of these techniques in more detail. Be careful with the gallops, be careful with the pinch harmonics, be careful with those little bursts with your alternate picking, and get slaying on this song. And I will see you in my bootcamp if you want to join me there. If not, go and watch my video on pinch harmonics, which I'll put a link to here.